Setting up, done. And we're live, great. So welcome everybody to this roundtable talk on unconscious bias, emotional labour, and today in particular we're talking about political blackness. So my name is Hester. I'm a mum. I'm also an activist. I'm a fitness instructor and a yoga teacher. I'm out of work a lot at the moment, and I'm interested in this topic in particular because a friend of mine who is Indian heritage, she runs a Black Lives Matter group in her local area, and she does climate campaigning. I don't know what to do with my baby.
He wants to be involved. He wants to be involved. He's got something to say. Hello, everyone. My name is Charlotte. I thought I might as well jump in. My name is Charlotte. I am a mum, a wife. I am a vegan hair and skincare specialist. I also am a intuitive guidance coach, and I believe in the upliftment of my community and those around me. I feel that it's important for us to come together to discuss things on an open scale so we can move forward in truth. Hester's gone, so it looks like it's over to you now.
You want to continue? You want to continue talking?
You can introduce yourself now.
My name is Martin Scott. I'm a teacher by profession. I teach subjects such as history, geography, but mostly sociology and philosophy. I've been teaching for just under 20 years now, which is quite a long time, in various schools, in Haringey, in Enfield, Hackney, those kind of areas. I've also, since the lockdown started a little organization called Freed Resilience, and we kind of deliver unconscious bias workshops with a view to kind of enlighten people about the issues of microaggressions in relation to racial issues, and also trying to open up people's minds about the history of racism and how best to reform their thinking so their prejudices kind of are challenged and hopefully rearranged so they become less and less and less over a period of time. I like being part of this little group because it kind of gives you a chance to kind of swap ideas with like-minded people. So it's very supportive and you feel energized after you've finished speaking anyway. I did for the first one we were involved in anyway. That's me.
Energized, and we need that so much, don't we? I've been feeling sad and burnt out and tired, and the Trust the People project is about community democracy, and that we've got to reshape democracy, and that all the crisis in our lives is basically about democracy. Hold on.
There she goes again, reshaping democracy.
Well, I might as well jump in, isn't it?
Hi, Layla.
Hold on. Okay, so I'm babysitting at the moment. So hi, everyone. So I'll be in and out. So my name's Leila Fortunato, and I run an organisation called Black British Studies, which is teaching children, adults about Black British history, and also looking at things like implicit bias. And I also run bespoke webinars. So if anyone's interested, you can DM me if you want, or go on my website. blackbritishstudies.org. And yeah, that's it. And also I'm a trained teacher, history teacher as well. I've been teaching about 12 years. So over to whoever it is.
Oh, thanks, Leela. Yeah, Leela's got babies. I've got a baby 5-year-old and a 10-year-old in the background. It's like, this is life.
This is it. We're coming at you real. And, you know, this is what people deal with, isn't it? So here we go.
This is it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm feeling tired right now. And it could be that it's that point in the year as well where we're supposed to be like retracting inwards and like drawing in and like hibernating, ready to emerge in the spring, and that we're coming towards, if you follow the sort of the lunar cycle and stuff, that we're moving towards the darkest day of the year. And then there's this like shifting point where the southern hemisphere gets darker and the northern hemisphere gets brighter, and it's that midwinter moment. And it's like, what do we want to take forward and what do we want to leave behind? What's serving us and what's not? And what you were just saying about feeling nourished, Martin, someone introduced me to a new term called co-regulation, and it's like when you have a hug with someone and it makes you feel good and it makes them feel good, and that's like a co-regulatory moment. Or like when you cuddle your child, or a breastfeeding mother, or a nursing mother, or like, you know, or your child falls asleep on you because they're safe and you feel safe. So it's like that co-regulation of, there's in that moment there's this essential like give and take, and it nourishes you. Oh, Marvina's here. So like, how do we do that in our activism as well? That's what I'm trying to figure out, and in our work lives and in our jobs. And what we're here in particular to start our conversation off about is political blackness. So I'm going to give a bit of a definition. I'm welcoming Marvina. I'm so glad you're here, Marvina. We're live, we're recording, so feel free to like turn on your video. If you don't want to turn on your video and you just want to watch or listen for a bit, you're welcome. But I'm so happy you're here. Thank you.
Welcome.
Hi guys.
Hi,
Welcome.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good.
Hi.
Do you want to say hello, Marvina, and say maybe a little bit about yourself?
Okay.
What you're interested in before I continue?
No problem. My name is Marvina Newton. I'm the co-founder for Black Lives Matter Leeds, and I'm also the African Rising UK chapter lead, also a Nigerian community. I do a lot of stuff, so I don't want to really like bore people. From NSAS UK campaign, and I'm a lecturer for youth and community work. So that's my.
What's about that? That's brilliant. Fantastic.
So thank you. Thanks. But do you know what's funny about me that a lot of people don't know is that my degree is in microbiology, so I cut body parts for a living. So yeah, I'm a nerd. I'm a nerd.
No, we love that. Sorry to interrupt you. I apologize.
No, you did not. You did not. I felt the welcoming. I could feel the spirit, and I could feel the energy in the space. I'm loving it. It'll be great to know who everybody else is in the room. I know they would have done introduction and like stuff, but it'll be nice to know who we have in the space.
Well, I'll do a quick rundown for you, Marvina. We've got Martin, who's a teacher and does unconscious bias training. He's from Tottenham. We've got Charlotte, who's got lots of different entrepreneurial businesses, Thick Fitness, and she's a vegan and she does beautiful skincare stuff. And we've been doing panels like every 2 weeks for the last 6 weeks.
Gosh, yeah.
And it's been on slightly different things each week. So the discussion starter for today was actually on a article that Bhavini shared with us, which was in The Guardian, and I posted it in the chat and I'll post it again. It's by the designer, writer and essayist, I'm going to get his name wrong, Usman Youssef Zada. And yeah, I'm just going to give a definition because he talks in that article about political blackness. And so I'm just going to give a little definition about what that is. So this is from the anti-racisteducator.com, and it says, if everyone else can mute as well, it'd be great when you're not talking. So it says political blackness, with its roots in the British trade union movement. Political blackness is an umbrella term used to refer to all the people who are likely to experience racial discrimination based on skin color. And historically in the trade union movement, it was understood that whether you were Black Caribbean or brown Pakistani, you would still be treated, it says considered here, but treated as perhaps subhuman, or at least a second-class citizen in the UK. Thus, trade unionists began to employ this term to unite the workers and create a collective voice that's more powerful than the word minority suggests. And it's in this British context of political blackness that Black History Month in October every year has not been restricted to Black American, Caribbean, and African history. Instead, it has included the histories of all people of colour, notably Asian history. So that's like a little bit from that website. Marvina, do you want to add to that?
The only reason I want to talk about political blackness because I have this problem about putting everybody in the same category sometimes, in the fact of being inclusive. No offense, people, it's always cool to be Black when it comes to funding until it's not cool to be Black. And we know a lot of our Asian brothers and sisters, love to them, we're in solidarity, great. We know exactly the divides in our community, so let's call it a spade. Political blackness works for certain people, it doesn't work for us. So the only reason I have to really just state that really clearly is because, okay, I'm not going to be politically correct here, I'm just going to speak it as it is. We need to be, we want to be united, but at the same time, we need to be able to celebrate the fact that we have our differences and we navigate society in a different way. The Black pound does not circulate like the Asian pound. And we know that it only circulates 6 times, while the Asian pound stays in the community and actually goes far. So when we talk about characteristics that are undervalued and underappreciated, the Black man, the Black woman is the most disadvantaged and most disvalued and disrespected in the whole world. And the shade changes. We know that even in the Asian culture, no one wants to be, everybody wants to be gory. They want to be lighter. So there's a privilege that comes with colorism. So I just wanted to just drop that there. So like when we talk about it, even we need to be sensitive of the fact that we need to decolonize our language, because that's what they've given to us. We did not agree to it, because Linda Bello, when they created all those things for Black History Month, we know exactly what we're talking about Black. But I know a lot of the Asians now, that's why we have BAME, because they were okay to come under the umbrella until they found a way to navigate through that. And when they did, they dropped us like a hot. So I just said, let me say that just openly. And yes.
And that's what the article talks about, Marvina. It talks about when BME became BAME. So I just wanted to take a little bit from Usman's article. So he says, and he's a fashion designer, and in this article he's writing about his experiences being stopped at customs and like interrogated basically because he's Muslim and he's brown skinned. So he says, as a young child in the 80s, I'd been called a Paki, a wog, a black bastard. In the new Labour dawn of the 90s, I was an acronym, BME, Black Minority Ethnic. Then the Twin Towers were struck and I became the enemy within the homegrown terrorist. So he later goes on to say, like, where are we at now? Did political blackness like have its time? And what's the new way to, be unified? Like the title of his article is called Shades of Unity in Hope of a New Brown and Black Coalition. So I've also posted it in the chat. I don't know if you've had a chance to see that. So now just like anyone that wants to come in, we've also got educators in the room who will be very familiar with the political side, as it were, of the Black History Month. Don't know, Martin, do you want to come in?
I think a lot of the time when we look at these events, they're very tokenistic, aren't they? They're almost given or highlighted as though that should be the one thing we should be aiming for our whole year. And obviously the argument has to be is, why isn't there a consistency about Blackness and exploration of Blackness by both Black and white people, so that we can then expand on how much more intricate we are as a culture, how diverse we are within our own Blackness as well, the contributions we've made to civilizations that are in existence now, from civilizations that we're coming from way back. And oftentimes I think it has to be a case of them not wanting us to explore that depth of brilliance and creativity that Black people have, which is part of their modus operandi. The more you shut that down, the more I suppose they feel as though they're in control of the narrative about what we are and what we're about. So I think we said it last time that oftentimes the stories that we have to start telling are ones that actually explore the greatness of what it means to be Black. So, you know, I think that's a major issue for this system that we're in. We're not allowed to and because the moment we do express ourselves in a more outward sense, we're then called we're too bombastic, we're too Black, we're almost aggressive, and I think we said that last time. So it's a problem, not for us. I think it's a problem more for the system that we're living in. Yeah, that's what I would say.
Charlotte, do you want to follow up on that?
Yes. So Marvina, right? Sorry, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. You're a breath of fresh air. Like, you said everything I feel. You said everything. I mean, we're in a blessed space here because a lot of us have a great understanding of what are willing to understand in these situations. I feel personally on my walk on this earth, it's okay to come under the umbrella of Blackness at certain points. And then on other points, we're just going to reject that. We're just going to say, well, no, I'm not Black. And for me, with one of the things that was highlighted for me with this, what's been happening this year, I've never known so many Asian people to identify as Black ever in my life, ever. And I'm really surprised by it, to be honest, because for me growing up, there was always, well, I say growing up, even now in my grand age, I find that there, up until this year, everybody was very distinctive and they wanted to be put into particular boxes. And when there's a lot of talk about funding for different things going on right now. I'm just going to say it because it's true. And everybody wanted a piece of the pie. People that I have known not to be Black are all of a sudden Black. And I'm very confused by it because personally, I feel there is nothing wrong with identifying and being proud of who you are and standing strong in what you are. You can stand with and support 100%. You know, we need to be allies to each other. We need to be supportive of one another, but we also need to understand the difference in struggle. And I shared something with Hester a bit earlier on today. So my ethnicity, I'm mixed, and I have seen prejudice from different angles. And one of the things I shared with Hester today, I will never pretend that my walk is the same as someone who is of darker skin, like my husband, for example. He is same beautiful shade as you, Marvina. He's beautiful. His skin is amazing. But I have seen the prejudice towards him and the prejudice towards me, and it's completely different. And if we do not acknowledge that, I believe personally we are doing a disservice. So I get really frustrated when it's cool to be Black. I get so frustrated about that. And I get so frustrated when we won't be honest and admit that the struggle is different. I feel like it's another way of stealing. Maybe I'm not using the right words, but that's what I feel it is. I had a woman come up to me, and an Asian lady, and say, my Black sister. And this woman in particular has never identified as that. And I was just so confused because she would always let it be known that she was Asian. So I do believe that the divide that has been placed between us mentally through the oppressor, through white people, it's real. It's real. And I do believe that there is a sense of hierarchy. I don't agree with it, obviously, but I do believe it because I've seen it. So it needs to be addressed so we can dismantle it. That's what needs to happen. And I'm also going to I have a memory of primary school. I went to primary school in Newbury Park. And I remember there used to be a lesson where they'd push in the TV and we'd watch something on Channel 4. It was like and then it was like this world that would come up, right? You're laughing because you remember, right? Okay, good. So this world would come up and there was a story about Hinduism or Sikhism. I cannot remember which one it was in particular. Please forgive me, this is not to cause offense. Now, this story explained the melting pot of the world and how people were made. And I've never forgotten it till this day. And Black people were the burnt scrapings of the pot. Yes, Hester. Sorry, Hester's face. Yes, I'll never forget it. Because I said it to my teacher at the time. Why are we the Black scrapings? My teacher, Mr. Sharp, never forget him, said to me, don't worry, Charlotte, you're not the same. I didn't understand what he meant then. I was a child, okay? So I didn't understand. As I grew up, that story has stayed with me. Now, when I would speak to my Asian friends about this story, they don't really want to discuss it, but they do admit that it's true. So I feel that we need to, I question why, if these narratives are out there, why can't we talk about them? Why can't we discuss them? And why can't we dismantle them? The reason is I think some people like them because they benefit from them. Moving on, that's my part. I've said my bit.
Yeah, go ahead, Marvina. Marvina's waiting to speak.
I remember that video, and I remember me just coming from Nigeria, and when I was in Nigeria, I wasn't Black. I was just Marvin. I was Essie Ogene. That's a gift from God, you know. Like I knew who I was. Like so, when I came here and they put this blackness on me, and Johnny Just Come, and all these different things, and I remember living in Canning Town back then, and I went to Eastleigh School, and they played this video. It's I think it's religious studies, that class actually where they do it, and I remember saying to them about Lucy. First of all, I didn't understand why the first human remains that was ever discovered was discovered in Ethiopia, where civilization apparently started from, but she's called Lucy, so I don't know why Lucy is her name. But if we're saying the origin stories when we're looking at that, don't you think this video is outdated? This was a long time ago. I don't know, I don't like bore people with my age, but like the history, and this is going back to what Martin said, the only history I like talking about is about positive Black history. So my history started before slavery. My history started before. So slavery to me, I don't want anyone to take this wrong. It's like a bad one night stand that every year everybody wants to talk about. It's like that guy or girl you don't want to remember, but everybody keeps talking about that. They didn't even have that much impact in your story, but they keep talking about it because it needs to fit that narrative, so you feel lesser of who you are, because then it fits the notion that you're a lesser being and you deserve to be stolen. Because you need to remember, when they stole people from Africa, and they also told us we sold ourselves into slavery too, because I empathize with my Caribbean brothers and sisters. The reason that conversation I have it, there's a big divide in our community, because we need to make sure we talk about, does Black lives matter to us too? Let's just that, but we're not going to do that yet. Let's talk about this situation of the political blackness. We can't be politically black if you don't know what my struggle and empathize with my struggle. You can't understand whether you're privileged, and this is where people need to check their privilege and see the power dynamic. No one wants to address this, and it's heavily done to funding. We were both colonized, and I get it. We were both colonized. So you need to remember the scramble happened. The British Empire did do both continents dirty, end of story. But what we need to remember is that one felt superior. Even when they took people to the Caribbean, they made people feel like they were saving them from the savages of Africa. You know, that the people that didn't, like, we were carnivals, we were doing this to each other. The narrative had to be done. So now what we need to do is rewrite our history to the narrative that we want. We need to re-educate ourselves. We need to unite, but we cannot unite until each individual has to re-educate themselves, because we have our own personal unconscious bias. And let's just call it a spade a spade. We all have our biases. I'm a Chelsea fan. I have key issues with other people that might be, you know, Arsenal. And maybe that's why my ex-husband is my ex-husband right now, because I don't understand that conversation. But that's an unconscious bias and it's real. And people from West Ham can't be talking to me because I'm like, literally, we're not on the same league. That, for me, I use it to create the little hierarchy of our mindset. We do that because we think, well, where are you on the league? Why are you talking to me? Shut up. Kind of mindset. And that's how privilege works. So you need to also acknowledge that as an individual, you've got your own privilege. We all do. I'm privileged in a lot of the rooms I sit in. So I might not know the struggle of the everyday woman Black woman that looks exactly like me, that doesn't have a voice and influence. And what you do is that you turn your privilege into power by being able to look back and figure out who is not in the conversation, because I don't want to speak for someone. I need to be able to say, and the way privilege has to work, you need to go to that person. You can't tell them to come to you because they don't know how to navigate the barriers. And if the Asian community wants to be politically Black, how many of them are politically becoming allies in this movement to come and take us in and be able to show us how to navigate the fields? If you look at politics, the way that politicians, and let's say when we were questioning during Black Lives Matter, how many Black politicians we have, the first thing that they said is that we have a good representative. They were referring to the Asians, not the Black people. Let's be real. And that it's not okay, because it's a power dynamic that is unfair, and we just need to talk about it. But that being said, we need to look at intersectionality, because if all Blackness is not the same, and when we figure that out and we can do that, me, I'm good. But I'm not here for the talk shops. I'm not here for trying to make people feel comfortable. Let's have the challenging conversation and let's get it sorted, because we have to be honest. Even in the mosque, okay, I just did a project around Blackness in Islam. The discrimination you get as a Black person in a mosque from Asian brothers and sisters is horrendous. Some mosques don't even translate. They will just speak in whatever language. It's that bad. And let's call a spade a spade. They think you're lesser, and then they will tell you, what's his name? Oh gosh, what's this guy's name? I'm so bad now. The guy that used to do the call to prayer, Bilal. They would say, well, Bilal. I go, Bilal was a slave. Let's get that sorted. He was a slave. Yes, he did a call to prayer, but let's see the hierarchy of what that was. And let's be able to address it. And Islam needs to address its own. And only then, when we talk about the truth, you need to talk from the truth around climate justice. And that's the only way we can get change. And that's where I will shut up and just hopefully just learn from other people on what they want to do about this. But I would love to see if we have Asian brothers and sisters in the room, and let them tell me what they feel.
We don't.
No, we have on previous calls, Marvina, we haven't had anyone available today to join the conversation. And it's very important that they're in the conversation.
Yeah, definitely.
I wanted to come to, well, Martin or Charlotte. Martin hasn't spoken for a little while. You're still muted, Martin.
Sorry. Yeah, sorry about that. I think it's a case of us seeing things for what they actually are, and realizing that oftentimes, and I think Marvina just stated it, that we have to reconstruct our own thinking in order to move forward. If we're resting on our laurels and expecting things to be given to us because we're asking, we're going to be asking till kingdom come, because the system is set up for you to keep on asking without anything being given back to you. Hence the idea, okay, we can see a problem, so we're going to have an inquiry about it, and the inquiry will be ongoing. And at a certain time, when something else is going on, that inquiry is then pushed underneath some kind of mat somewhere or under the carpet, never to be seen again until the next inquiry about a very similar issue. In fact, it was what's her name again? Is this the Home Secretary? What's her name again?
Priti Patel,
who stated that
yep,
those people who raised the issue of those Jamaicans being deported, those famous people, are nothing but busybodies. She stated they're busybodies.
Do-gooders, do-gooding celebrities.
Do-gooding celebrities. That's us. Thank you. So can you see? It's quite sinister that this is an Asian woman whose parents were also immigrants coming to this country to make a better life for themselves, who's coming out with that kind of statement. So it kind of shows where she's at in terms of her mindset, because she's amongst the upper echelons and she thinks she's made it, and she's willing to carry out their sinister business on their behalf. And a woman of color doing that, for me, is lost. So you can't bank on someone like that to do something for someone like me, or even me, myself, or someone that looks like me, because she's not going to. So we've got to move away, I think, in a very radical way, to kind of say, what are we going to do for ourselves? What grassroots kind of community-based stuff can we begin that gets rid of them as the support mechanism that we supposedly need, because we don't need them. We just don't need them, because they're not going to do anything for us. So it's having clarity about that, I think, being clear as to what they're about, what their strategies are about, but then rebuffing it with our own strategies. And it's going to take some time. It may not even be this generation, our generation, that sees any real change, but it's going to have to be us educating the next and even the next generation to go about saying, right, we know what to do. These are our strategies. Let's push on through. And that's the only way. I can't see any other way to get out of this hole that we're in. And we are in a deep hole here. Massive, massive hole. And it's because it's been cultivated, not over just decades, over centuries. This whole, oppression of us, of black people or people of color. It's been in the works for centuries. But I tend to think that it's got to be about finances. Economic foundations are very important. So a collective kind of giving, a buying of land or some kind of property, educational programs, health programs, food programs, things that really enable people to move on in a real kind of tangible way, because words alone can't do it. It's got to be things that people find, give them a foothold in life and enable them to move on, and then they can start to feel as though they can grab knowledge and knowledge becomes power, and then they can hand it on like a baton to the next generation. Yeah, but that's just my thoughts. That's what I have to say about that.
I agree with you. Sorry, Hester.
No, it's just Malvina's pointed out that there are other people here with us tonight. Yeah, that they are.
Oh.
We're kind of waiting to see if they do want to talk though. So basically, if you've got your video on, it means that you want to speak, and if you don't, then we're just respecting that you might have, like Leela's here, but she's got her grandchildren, and not sure if Jackie wants to contribute. So yeah, thank you absolutely for bringing them into the conversation as well. And I just trust that if you're ready to talk or you want to contribute, you'll signal. Charlotte, over to you.
No problem, absolutely fine. Just want to say that I agree with everything that Martin said, so passionately. One of the discussions that I've been having a lot of late is building the Black economy. What does it mean to do that? And why is there such a resistance to it? So I had a discussion on Facebook about this maybe 10 days or so ago. And I was very surprised how offended so many people were by the suggestion of wanting to buy Black and invest in Black businesses and to further the Black pound. So when I tried to have the discussion of history and how Black people have been used as building blocks for everyone else's economy, and trying to come from that point of view so that they could understand the importance of investing in our own so that we can build our own up, so that our children and our generations to come can have something that they can identify with and be proud of, just like, and I use the example of Asian families and how they always invest within their own communities. And I think that's amazing. I think it's fantastic. So when I tried to use that as an example, even that was not received. And it was not received. Actually, let me be fair. It was received by a small amount of people. The vast majority thought that it didn't matter. Why was it so important? Why did it have to happen? And my answer was, well, it doesn't matter to you because you're okay. It doesn't matter to you because right now you can look and see your people in high places, so to speak, and a lot of them, not just one or two dotted, like, stars in the sky, so to speak. You can actually see a sea of it. So it's easy for you to identify with, so it's not your problem. But even with certain people within the Asian community that I had this discussion with, I was surprised at how many of them seem to have the same type of mindset. And I really do believe that they've kind of drunk the Kool-Aid a little bit. Like they've kind of, because they don't have the same issue, it didn't matter. It wasn't important. And I feel like, for me personally, that is a perfect example of how brainwashed they are and how much it is important to keep us down, because there is a fear that if we do allow ourselves to grow, if we do build within ourselves as a community, that we may overtake. And I don't know. I don't know when we are going to allow ourselves to completely wake up from that. Because I actually believe the skills, if we look through history, like Marvina said, our history is not just slavery. Our history is before slavery. Slavery, I love that bit. It's like a little one night stand, sorry. But I love that when she said that, because that was a real good explanation. There is so much more. There is so much more before that. So the reason for me, keep on regurgitating this whole slavery story all the time is nothing but another form of oppression to make us not want to rise. So within my business, I was approached by, I make vegan and organic hair and skin products. I've been watched by a particular person who is interested in my products. And one of the reasons I refuse to allow my products to be stocked in that shop is because of how I have been treated, and let alone of how I've seen my husband being treated, and then all the narrative that I hear and see. I can't do it. The money is not that important. I would rather allow my products to be funded within the community first, to give people within the community an opportunity to grow first. And I don't want to say that I'm going to exclude any group in particular, but if you do not understand what I'm trying to do, then we cannot walk together. It's just that simple. And I feel that the more of us that stand up in that truth, we will actually flourish a lot quicker. It's possible, and it is happening, but it's happening so slowly, and there's a lot of fear around it. We need to acknowledge the truth, people. That to me is paramount.
Yeah, sorry, I'm about to go, but I wanted to drop something with you guys before. And I love that. I really love this. So for me, when I say I'm unapologetic, I buy black. I always buy black. When I cannot find a black shop or black business, I then go outside. Okay. And it's literally that kind of process. So at the moment, we're building something called the Black Pound Initiative. And it's different. It's not Black Pound Day. The Black Pound Initiative is about figuring out how we can self-sustain ourselves. So how do we have phenomenal business networks? You know, like the powder scheme that you used to have. The only reason Asian people can buy the properties and do things is because they come collectively. So we need to start thinking, like, my electrician is black. Maybe it's the African thing. We will find our people first before we go to anyone else. And I'm not apologizing for that. It's just called me trying to distribute that wealth. It's your business. If you don't like it, that's fine. And I say to my allies, you want to be an ally? Spend black. Procure black. Commission black. Find a way that I'm not a tokenistic person. You call me to your meeting, I will cuss you and tell you about how you need to include people. So sometimes I actually make my career with just telling people how racist they are. And it's not, my problem is I'm not racist white people, the nice white people, the ones that just sit down and they're quiet and don't say anything. And I also have problems with people in our community that don't value themselves. So you see that discussion you have, I don't have those discussions with people. You know why? Because I don't have them around me. If you've got something, that means we also need to re-educate ourselves. But sometimes by me having an argument with you or trying to teach you, I become the villain. And we become violent to each other with words. And that psychologically has an impact on myself. And I don't need to do that. It's sometimes you can't have an argument with a madman. It's as simple as that. You need to pick your battles. So I sit down there and I look at you straight in the face. Oh, you don't want to buy from your people. I know that while I'm buying from my people, they're still going to cuss me. I know when I go to the Jamaican shop to get my curry goats, Auntie is not going to smile at me and she's going to screw her face and I'm going to wait for 20 minutes and all that jazz. But then do you know why I say to Auntie, Auntie, you know, this food tastes nice, you know? Do you have an online platform? How can I help you? I've got loads of students who are looking for marketing experience. Would it be nice for me to see how I can help you? And she'd be like, what's the cost? Auntie, you know what? Because I love your food, we'll do it for free. We'll do it for free. Get some volunteers in there. Do we see how we see each other's business and say, darling, how do I just help you? With no financial gain, let me just see you win. Because when you win, I win. When you excel, I excel. Can we think like that? And when we think like that, things change so beautifully. But at the moment, we have the crab in the barrel mentality, where we're jealous and we're thinking, why that person? Mine is that I don't need to know you. You told me you got a vegan product, and the next thing I want in your group, please send me a link. As soon as I have money, I'll be like, sis, let me buy. Just because it takes those little initiatives. It takes those little initiatives of me saying, you know what, maybe there's a hair product there. Maybe there will be a skin product. Maybe it could be soap. Maybe there's a black soap or something that I can say every month, my supplier for that one product comes from you. It's that simple. And with that being said, like my brother delivers them unconscious bias training. Have we thought about, I don't know whether any you teach, have we thought about, okay, let's look at heritage lottery funds and young roots. Let my brother, let's sit down together and let's build a project around all of us just delivering something on this. Simple. Let's start documenting rewriting our history. But what I'm not going to do is play the victim. You know what I'm not going to play? First of all, it's not our country. Let's make it clear. It's not ours. If they tell us to, it's not. No matter how much we want to say, I'm British, I've got a British passport, yes. But be honest to you, they don't believe that we're part of them. So please, let's start thinking about building Africa, because guess what? When you go back to Africa, no one is seeing you as Black. They see you like them. Change your language, change your things. Sorry, you see my African accent just came in there, because swear down, it's just dumb. I'm not going to be begging for scraps from someone's table when I could build a whole banquet by myself. Are you dumb? When people know their power and they know their economics, why are we suffering? We go to school here, we go to uni here, and we never think about how we're going to use our degree, our thesis to make a difference back home. But we want to be fighting them for something that it's not our country. Get into your system. They don't like you. In fact, every time they see you, they feel intimidated. Your blackness is like a weapon. Your melanin is liquid gold. You diamond, just listen to it. When they see you, mostly my brother there, he will step into a room, and I know for years I had to navigate making myself smaller and dimming my lights to fit into people's room, and I realized they need to just wear sunglasses to see me. End of story. And that's where I will stop and I will jump into my other meeting. But I love you guys. I love this kind of conversation. But the only thing I'll say, please don't apologize. Don't beg anybody for anything. Why are you begging? They're going to racially gaslight you. They're going to be narcissistic. Racially gaslighting is a word that you guys need to get used to, because that's when you sit there and you know that they've been racist, and then you're having a Black moment. A Black moment is a pure moment of discrimination that you're sitting there and you're thinking, did Joe just say that to me? Did they just touch my hair? Did they tell me I speak really well? I get told I'm pretty for a Black girl. Are you mad? I'm pretty, point blank. Go and tell that to your mother. That's me. I'm not playing with you. But anyway, I'm politically correct, so I'm going to be nice. Love you guys.
Love you, Marvina. Thank you for being here. Enjoy your next meeting.
Yeah, definitely. Bye.
Bye. That was brilliant.
And Martin, I just see you smiling like, see, beautiful smile. Black kings, Black queens, big up to you. You're just beautiful people, I beg, please. Everybody should just get with the program.
I'm trying to type, I love her.
Love to Marvina. She's left. You just have to tell her.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Call her and tell her,
I love you. Sorry, I'll stop talking. I just need to absorb.
Martin.
Yeah, Marvina don't play. She's definitely on it, boy. I like it. In fact, it kind of I wanted to say that there are two businesses that I know of that she mentioned the idea of a partner. There's a guy called Paul Henriquez. He's just started the partner app. It's on the Apple sort of trial basis at the moment, and he's basically looking to set up different communities of people to share kind of financial support with. And there's my sister as well. She started her own hair care products as well, called Lena May, which obviously is giving an idea that she wants to further the idea of a more organic hair product of quality that is Black owned. And it's that, and those just two examples of the way we can kind of further ourselves without fear. It can take a little bit of work, but it's a case of us seeing within ourselves, you know what, we should be empowered enough to start this for ourselves. The hair products we're buying as Black people, for example, it's mostly owned by white companies, and we're buying it we're spending billions with those people. So why aren't we actually doing it for ourselves? So Marvina's words, I think they're very profound. That's the only way you then can force things politically. Because the moment they realize, wow, these black people are really kind of economically strong now, we need their money to come in. That's when they start to listen. There's no more inquiries going on. You know what I mean? Imagine some of the issues concerning Muslim people being deported back to Saudi Arabia or wherever else. That, do you think them people, that would never happen? Because they'd be out on road and it'll be a different story. They'd shut that down ASAP. Because those people got money and they got numbers and they got influence. Black people need to do the same thing. Because we're not wise to the game. We have to get into those positions of power. Hester, we spoke about earlier, you know, local councils. We need to go to those meetings and we need to have our voice heard, and we need to get people thinking about what is good for us, you know. And I'm just as guilty because I think I've been lazy. But we need to get involved in those places, those positions of power, to force social policy change. You know, it's got to be done, and that's the only way through, I think. But Hester, I've not heard you say anything today.
That's all right. It is about what you said before we actually started recording, which is community. And my baby's making noise, so I'm going to have to turn it off for a sec. Hold on.
Okay.
I've just got to say, one of the things that stand out to me so much. Okay, so when I started looking into mass manufacturing of black hair care and skincare, what the narrative that kept popping up was that the products would be taken and bought by a large white organization, and then after a while the product ingredients would change. Therefore, it wasn't as suitable to black and mixed race hair. And then when I did more research, the reason why is because they want to appeal to a more European market. So therefore, it's no longer black hair care. Now, if you are then the people that were coming along to then buy the product that they thought it was before, they were having problems. They were not being able to, the products weren't doing the same thing that it was doing before. So this is a common thing. So when I was contacted by a certain gentleman, for me, it was just so paramount that I knew what would happen. For me, I'm so passionate. I want my products to be manufactured by us, for us. Nothing can be changed. The quality needs to remain the same. If it cannot remain the same, then I refuse to allow anything to be mass produced by anyone. I love the idea of what Marvina was saying about having factories back home in Africa. For me, that is my dream.
Yeah. I
would love to do that. That would be amazing. And then, yes, it could be shipped wherever it needs to be shipped. But that, to me, is paramount. That is what's most important. We need to build within our own. It's so...
Well, Charlotte, I know a guy called Joshua Lamoti.
Right.
He's in that industry of hair and beauty.
We need to talk.
He goes to Africa often.
Right.
To basically set up meetings to sell products on behalf of his company. So I'll give you his details because he's on LinkedIn as well. And he's always talking about how we as black people should further ourselves. He's a black brother. He's got half Ghanaian, half Jamaican.
Oh my gosh.
And he'll advise you on how best you as a black woman can market your product, and it doesn't have to be rearranged.
That is beautiful.
I'll do that. I'll send it to you.
Please, Martin, and that would be amazing.
Yeah, because I gave his name to his sister as well, and I said you get in touch with him to look at the possibilities of how you're going to grow your market share.
That would be fantastic.
But I think what we're seeing this evening is part of the growth has to be about who's out there already, who's doing this already. How best can we network with those people so they can advise us, almost like a mentoring thing? You know what I mean?
Yes.
where they can show you the best way for you to succeed, because there's someone out there doing it already. Why do we need to kind of think we can't go to them and ask them for help? You know, it's important.
Hester, you first.
Yeah, it's about so something that I watched, it was shared in the anti-oppression circle chat actually, and I'm going to have to find what conference it was from, but it was this economist, white economist, saying that Africa needs to be prevented from manufacturing. And this is to keep the wealth going in one direction. And that if the wealth goes in the other direction, then Europe, North America, like northern hemisphere, the quality of life will change and it can't be allowed. And that's what he said at the end, that Africa cannot begin to manufacture. It was the first time I've heard it said so clearly. There are lots of other things he said. It's very hurtful to listen to. But at the same time, it's like, it's being said. Like, we know it's true, but it was like, it was finally being said. And the model that we have currently for capitalism, for all kind of, growth of wealth, it doesn't work. And what I was talking about, like the co-regulation, like it has to be good for both sides. It has to be nourishing, there has to be a new way. And I have faith and belief that it will come to be in this time of crisis where things are falling apart that we thought were solid. In this time of falling apart, that can emerge, right? Adrienne Marie, I've forgotten her last name, I'm so sorry. But her book on emergent strategy, and she's been part of Black Lives Matter in America in a really big way. And she says how where's the pleasure, like where's the joy? And when she speaks, she just exudes it. And actually, where's the femininity? Like, where is this idea? Where's this idea gone that everyone can benefit, that everyone can thrive, that we are all, and we're all tied up in one another's destinies. So if one person's losing, we're all losing. We all have to be thriving for everyone to thrive. Injustice anywhere threatens justice everywhere. And when we talk about this new way of, economy or doing business, like that could be the opportunity, to show how it should be done. Because we can't use the models that are already there because they destroy, right? So we need to find the models that create the growth and the healing. Yeah.
I think, Hester, your point is extremely valid, because I think you stated that where's the femininity? It's very white male dominated, isn't it? This capitalist model, in terms of the way it's being put forward. It's about avarice, it's about greed, it's about the idea of ownership, of the need to just constantly take and not give anything back. And I think if you have some kind of, let's say, more feminine perspectives, it's going to have to be about nurturing, about caring, about giving space for others to breathe so that they can try something for themselves. And if it doesn't quite work, let's step in and try to support so that it can maybe get off the ground. Two things I can think of. First one is sort of the micro economics that was pushed forward in, I think it was in India, where women were given small sums of money to set up their micro industries. And then those women were able to work and create something that was tangible, selling goods or services. Then the money could be paid back, and then that money was reinvested elsewhere. And then there's a continuum of micro sort of industries growing. And the second thing, I think, when we're thinking about the Islamic perspective of loaning money to someone, you don't charge usury. There's no interest needing to be to be gathered from that. It's because you've helped someone else with Allah's gifts, if you like, that everyone's been given, that we can now all move on in a much more beneficial way. And it's even part of their 5 pillars, the idea of giving zakah, that payment to others, a percentage of your annual income. Is that where we need to be going in terms of showing more sentiment towards others growing, not because we're going to get something back from them, but because we can actually see them growing? And that, I think that if that for me is the more feminine. A mother's breast is just given freely, isn't it, to her child, because she knows that that mother's milk is worth everything to that child at that stage of development. It's a similar kind of mindset we need to have in terms of this the new wave of capitalism, because the old one hasn't worked, and it's causing too much strife and pain and death and homelessness. It's awful. Yeah, that's my thought.
It is awful, and everyone that's in the underclass or the subcategories, the wretched. There is an organization called Wretched of the Earth, and it's the wretched, and they are it's been done to them, right, by the system that does not work, that is not for all. Leela, do you have a chance to chat right now? I see your things in the chat.
Yeah, I mean, I'm following it, but I'm kind of not following it. But really, all the things that everyone has said has just really resonated with me. And but I just want to, this thing about capitalism not working, it is working exactly as it's designed to work. It is by definition something that's exploitative, and that's been going for centuries and centuries, and the whole world is kind of set up with that format. So I don't think it's about saying it doesn't work. I think it's more about that, exactly as you say, there's so much greed out there, and it is very male, white, and I do think that there isn't people. The minute you start talking about caring about others and sort of making it a bit more fair, people start jumping up and say, oh, socialism and all the rest of it, and then worrying about, well, what does that take from me? So I don't know. I think it's very much about changing people's mindset also from within. I think that if you're not balanced inside yourself, it's very difficult to think. And also, if you don't have the very basics yourself, it's very difficult for you to then think about, how do I help others, or how do I not worry that someone else is taking this or that? And that's how all these politicians exploit people, that maybe the working class, the white working classes, to get their votes, is by scaring them and saying, oh, the immigrants are taking this, that and the other. So yeah, I do think it actually has to come from within. And also working in organizations, when you guys were talking at the beginning about community organizations, relying on big government to change things, it's not really going to work. It has to be something that comes from the community level, and it, because of what you were saying. I think Martin, you were talking about how things have been going with COVID and all the rest of it. I think eventually that is the right way to go, is to have, rather than big corporations, smaller organisations that are run by local communities. And we might just end up being pushed into it, whether we like it or not.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Because I think, and I could say one more thing. There's been a huge amount of people using food banks. We all know that since this lockdown. And I saw an article I think it was today or yesterday, where a lot more middle class people are lining up in those queues because their money's run out and they've got no work. These are people with MBAs and postgraduate degrees. These are educated people. If they're seeing that what we had before is gone and we're lining up with so-called poorer people now, that's a bit of a revolution. That's the beginning of a revolution right there, And secondly, on Park Lane, just near me, you got a restaurant that every week, I think 3 times a week, is giving out food to local people. And people are saying that if it wasn't for this place and the food they're giving me, I couldn't survive on the £40 a month I'm being given by the government to survive on. Or I think it's £40 a week, sorry. That, and again, people stepping up and saying, we can't have destitution on our doorstep. We got to do something. So people are actively getting involved, you know. It's happening. You can see it's happening already in different ways.
I want to share a little, testimony, because we're one of those families that have had to use a food bank this year, and it was because I got a call from school, and this lady said, "Oh, I heard Ren telling a teacher she just had bread and butter for a lunchbox," and I was like, "Oh, am I going to tell the truth, or am I going to just brush it off?" And I'm like, yeah, it's bad, Jackie. It's tough. And then she said she wanted to do a referral for us to a food bank. And I started with the whole, oh, well, someone needs it more than me. And we'll be fine. And then I was like, I started crying. And then I was like, no, we're not fine. And there's been a shift, hasn't there? There's more and more people that require, and you call things charity, and you're like, don't want charity, don't want someone giving handouts. You know, we're all in this same toxic system where there's this idea of scarcity, and we don't have this, well, maybe it's somewhere, it is somewhere. The neighborliness is there, neighboring, where you check in on the people around you, and it's there, and it came up this year, and we saw it happening, and we were like, yeah, that's what it means to be alive and to be human and to care about each other.
Well, Hess, I think looking back to the 80s when Thatcher said there's no such thing as community, it's just family and individuals, we're now seeing actually there is community. And she was very wrong. It's just that she wanted to mask the idea of individualism as being wrong. She was making it as though it was right. But when you stand on your own, you're weakened. It's the collective togetherness that makes you stronger. And we're seeing that now, in different ways. So I don't think there's any embarrassment about being part of that food bank. I think the glory has to be about people willing to give because they can see you're in need. Because there is a bigger thing than just you. There is community, and it's always been there in some way, but it's coming out more and more and more now, I think. It's like, when you have Karl Marx and his concepts of what's going to defeat capitalism, it's going to be a revolution of the masses, because they can now understand that what they were shown before was just false ideology, and now the true aspect of the system is that it doesn't care about any of us. It just cares about a minute few, and it's in front of us today. We can see it.
Isn't it like 1% has 50% of the wealth?
Some madness, and I think it's grown.
Is it 1% of the 1%? It's
like 0.001 or something own like 20 or 25% of this entire planet. Some madness, some craziness.
I think it's something like I think there's about 16 people that own enough, an equivalent of about 3 billion people or something like that.
That's mad.
Which is insane. Absolutely. And then you can narrow it down to 8 people apparently even as well.
God.
That's madness.
Disgraceful. It's disgusting.
I was reading an article, sorry to cut you guys. I was reading an article about the Amazon delivery drivers. I was reading an article and I could not believe how it worked for them. That if they are late, they get docked and they are out of a wage that is already a pittance.
Deep.
And you know, if they don't meet their quota, they won't get their full wage requirement for that day. And I sat there, I had to stop myself from reading the article because I could feel myself being infuriated. I can't, I don't know what his name is, but you can't spend all that money. Your generations cannot spend all that. Like, it's impossible. How do you, that's it. Thank you. Thank you, Martin. Jeff, it was going through my head, but wasn't clear. I don't understand how you can sleep at night. I remember speaking to a gentleman, I'm being nice, when I was talking to him about my model and my dream for natural woman hair and skincare and how I wanted people to be paid, and he was infuriated. He was infuriated at the audacity that in my heart, when I have all of this and I'm in the position to do it, I want the minimum wage for my employees to be £20 an hour. I want it to be that an hour. It's, oh, you couldn't possibly, you know, you're not going to really generate that much wealth. And you're all just going into it. Sorry to mimic, but that was his, you know, that was his tone. And I'm looking at him and I'm thinking, you really don't understand, do you?
He's an animal.
You don't get it. My dream is to have my factories in Africa. My dream. That's my dream. Oh, you know, it's not gonna be feasible. Well, excuse me, Africa has the most resources on this planet. If you speak to, I was reading another article for a gentleman in Dubai who was saying the same thing, but the only difference is they don't want us to know it. So you're sitting there on your paper, because really it's worth nothing because it's paper. It's paper. So you're sitting there on your paper controlling the mass food production, you know, where it goes, well, I don't even like the word wealth, because when I think of wealth, I'm not thinking of it as it's thought of. I'm thinking of it in a completely different context. I don't understand why we cannot all flourish. I don't understand why we cannot all eat from the same table. I don't get it. So therefore, I cannot conform to this ideology of, you know, it's ridiculous. You know, there has to be a way of you doing this from here, and, you know, you putting your money into these types of different organizations. We don't want to build this economy. It's a lie.
So we say no.
So we say no.
We say no.
Sorry, Hester. Yeah, we say no. So we do say no. So I did say no. And it was insinuated that I had no idea of business. I had no idea of what I was doing. I said, no, you have no idea of my business and how I'm doing it. And that, for me, we need to be able to stand stronger together. And I do believe a lot of us are so exhausted. Martin, I don't believe it's lazy. I believe it's exhausted. How many corners are we all meant to fight in? Thank you. It's how many? You know, the narrative has been to grind you down till you believe the narrative that you're worthless as a Black person.
You know, there's a film I watched where you quoted the Amazon driver. It's called Sorry We Missed You.
Okay, I need to check that out.
Check that out, because the film is about what you just stated about a guy who's delivering packages for an Amazon style company. And it's just, at the end of it, you just think, I feel so sorry for that man. It was just like, I felt angry. My stomach was turning. Like, it's just the kind of system we're in with these 0-hour contracts where you're exploiting people, but you're telling them that they're their own workers. It's a really good movie.
Okay, I need to watch it too. Definitely.
Watch it.
Definitely.
But I think your ethical perspective, Charlotte, is one we all need to follow, because I think that's the thing that's going to allow us to gain real freedom as a collective, because then we can kind of bank on each other to do the right thing. That guy who's telling you you're not a businesswoman is so
It's
wrong.
ridiculous. So
There's
wrong.
I think there's a bit of a tidal wave coming of emotional change.
Yes.
That's what I think.
Yes.
Where we're all going to start feeling more for each other, more empathetic, more supportive.
100%.
You know, and that's going to allow us all to grow.
100%.
You know.
And I feel you said something earlier, Martin, about the feminine energy, and I think you said it too, Hester, when we was having a chat. And I thought to myself, you know, the feminine energy is so profound. It's so profound.
Yeah.
And but I'm also going to say, so is the masculine energy. We need to find a way to dance, because when we come together in truth and understanding, it's as it's meant to be. I don't believe that one is better than the other. I really want to make that clear, and I hold no shame in that. I believe that the Black man is undervalued.
Yin and yang.
Oh my Lord. He is undervalued. And the importance of seeing each other in our strength is the profound change that we need, in my opinion. I want to dance with my brothers. I want to dance with my sisters. I want to dance with those who understand what is going on. Because when we do, we're all eating from the same table. There is no lack. How could there be a lack? I ship so much stuff in from Africa because I want the purity. How can that not be the best place for me to have my factory? How can it not be?
But a guy, he knows that it is.
Of course.
Some of the factors of African investment are, it's got the youngest population in terms of under 25s anywhere on this planet. It's the biggest continent in the world. You know, if you're talking about a place also that has a reversal brain drain, people are going out of it to study and then returning to set up businesses in those African countries, whether it be Tanzania, Nigeria, Ghana, wherever. They're coming back because they can see, Black people can see, this is our homeland. The European concept of them being better was false. We're going home. So he don't want you to go back.
Yep. No, he doesn't. He doesn't.
System. It's like feeds it.
Oh, exactly. Oh, this is brilliant. This is brilliant. Sorry, this is brilliant, Charlotte. Okay. Thank you. Where do you do this? Here. I do it in my house. I want to take it back though. Sorry. This is brilliant. What's in it? Like, it's just, it's like, you know it is. And look, I really want to stress, like, I want us to dance together. I believe that we can. And I really believe the reason why you have pushed so fervently to have Black people as the scraping at the bottom of the pot is because you know the value of what they bring to the table, and you are fearful because European lands are barren. Not much growth here, right? Let's be honest. This is not about black and white. This is about factuality now.
And the minerals.
Yes, exactly.
Gold, everything is in Africa.
Exactly. So what's the harm in knowing this and giving it the kudos that it deserves? I don't get it. It's because of fear.
I think, Martin, were you talking about the emotional coming? We got to finish.
I love this.
But yeah.
Sorry.
It's everything. This is everything.
It is everything.
So I'm thinking of that book, Sapiens, again, where he talks about the cognitive revolution, agricultural revolution, then the industrial revolution, and maybe we're going through some emotional revolution. Maybe there's the reckoning that's talked about. It's like the the portal. I've forgotten the name of the poet. Oh God, my brain. But like right now, it's the reckoning. It's the it's gonna. We all come, whether it's the judgment or the whatever it is, but it's the moment. It's the moment that's now, and what can emerge is what's needed for us to survive.
Yeah.
Well, going back to Sapiens again, I think we said last time the idea of Homo sapiens having a great imagination. We're able to conjure up these fantastical stories that allow us to almost project ourselves into the future. And so therefore, if we can come up with an idea of how we want things to be, and the more people that buy into it, it means we're more unified to go forward to seek the idea to make it a reality.
Agreed.
So all we need to do is fire up the imagination so it almost becomes wired in the brain. And it's almost a second nature thing where we're thinking nothing more than that's where we're going. You know what I mean? So we just have to, again, the imagination is a powerful thing, isn't it? You know,
see it. You just
we
got
need
to
to
see
speak,
it.
we need to write, to go out, protest, talk, support, and that will allow people then to jump on board that imagination and get on board too.
Oh, so true, man.
That's what we need.
Adrienne Marie Brown says, "Let it be irresistible."
I love that.
And that for the movement of the masses, this has to be irresistible.
Can I have this?
And that,
and
full of joy.
Yeah.
We are more powerful than what we know. We are more powerful than what we actually realize. And it does start in the mind. It does.
It does.
It does.
Yeah.
As the mind sees it, so shall it be.
So shall it be, innit? There's a book, is it called As a Man Thinker? I think
yes.
It's called that.
Yes.
Which is all about your thoughts becoming manifestations, isn't it, in terms of reality. So
yes.
Yeah, you got to have those positive thoughts in your head for it to become real.
We have to.
You got to, you know.
And I feel they know it, Martin. Sorry, I know we have to finish. Because the strength of negativity that is within people's mindset, I feel that's what we've seen for all the decades of past.
Yeah.
It's a mass awakening now. And I challenge it. And I see what's going on, but I refuse to give life to it anymore.
Well, you guys, did you watch the latest Small Axe?
I saw the one where he's a policeman. I saw the policeman story, but I haven't seen the third one.
I haven't seen the third one.
That it comes after the John Boyega policeman one. Is a guy called, I think his name Alex Wheatle, I think he is. He became a book writer for children. But his story, I think, it kind of typifies the need for collectivity, but also having faith in that vision. In that vision. There's a scene with played by Robbie, is it Robbie G? I think it is. He plays a Rastaman in prison with Alex Wheatle. And he says, the one way for you to become stronger is to read. Man have to read. He said, man have to read. Man have to read. He said, and it was deep. The way he said it was,
Yeah.
That's freedom.
Yeah.
Man have to read. So that's what we all got to do. Just get deeper.
And that one was the pride of the working classes was that it used to be.
Yeah, and they undermined it, haven't they? They've undermined it on purpose. You know,
we do this imagination idea right at the beginning of the 6-week Trust the People course, and then we do it again at the end, and it's really nice to be reminded how magic magic that is. Imagination, and it gets taken out of us after we're children, and reclaiming it.
There's a reason for that.
Yeah. We're gonna have to finish.
Oh, this is awesome.
Jackie and Esther, we'll stay on. I'm just going to stop recording in a second, but it will stay on and like for a minute or two if you want to share any of your thoughts having listened to us. But I feel that right now, that co-regulation thing.
The dance.
Oh yeah, you said it. You were saying it about the dance. Yeah. So that's what I'm going to take with me. And thank you for that gift. So yeah, if you want to say any final words, Martin.
It's been a joy to be a part of the conversation. Lots of different ideas and lots of different sharing of tangible possibility, not things that are just being said, but I think that things that can make things happen. So yeah, it's been great. Thank you.
Charlotte?
I'm going to keep it moving. I'm going to keep trusting and believing and manifesting. And that vision I have is real. And I love that we share it.
Leela.
I just feel so hopeful actually after listening to you guys. It's it's just actually made me feel really good. So I mean, it just means that normally when we talk about these things, it's always a case of, oh, it's we talk about the realities. We know it's difficult. We know it's an uphill struggle, but then actually also feeling that positivity, it's amazing. That's all I can say really. I want to leave it on a positive note.
How about you, Hester?
That was mine. I said mine. It was the reminder of just that magical spark, the seed of imagination, and just I was really grateful for you to sort of bringing that into this in this moment again. So yeah, all that leaves me to say is just thank you, and until the next time. So good night, everyone. I'm going to stop going live.
Good night, everyone. Take care.